Hey everyone, welcome back to Noiseberry Games. Today I'm going to be talking about a new game called Zero Parades for Dead Spies. This game was released on May 21st, 2026. Its regular price is $39.99 US, or your regional equivalent, and it's developed and published by Zaum, Zaum, I have no idea how you pronounce it. The store page says, from the creators of Disco Elysium comes Zero Parades, an espionage RPG. You're a brilliant but tormented operant on one final desperate assignment. Gather your broken network, untangle a web of lies, and prove yourself on the world stage, or blow it all up again. So I am someone who absolutely hated Disco Elysium. I remember I'd heard all the hype about it, and I finally tried it on my Steam Deck, and I remember I got about like 40 minutes in, and I made one wrong choice and died, and there'd been no autosave or anything. It just sent me back to the main menu, and I just closed it out and just uninstalled it and never went back to it. Then I also tried out Esoteric Ebb earlier this year, which was like Disco Elysium but set in a fantasy world. So I thought, I'm far more into fantasy than I am sci-fi, cyberpunk, that sort of stuff. So I thought maybe I would like that one a lot more. Got about 2 hours into that one, uninstalled it, didn't like it at all either. It was obviously just the Disco Elysium gameplay style I didn't like. And so for some reason I thought it would be a great idea to take a look at Zero Parades for Dead Spies from the actual makers of Disco Elysium. And surprisingly, I quite liked this game actually. I do think if you like Disco Elysium, this game will probably be a no-brainer for you. It's quite similar, but there are enough differences that I did actually enjoy my time with this a lot more than Disco Elysium. In this game, you play as Hershel Wilk. Her codename is CASCADE, which is a very cool codename. Right at the start of the game, you wake up. Obviously, you can't remember anything right away because that's just how these kinds of games have to start. But things start coming back to you. Right at the start of the game, you remember this previous case that you were on about 5 years ago that went horribly, horribly badly, and basically scattered her whole crew to the wind. And this is obviously a very important part of Cascade's past, and it's something that has stayed with her for 5 years, and it is brought up quite a bit during the game. So Cascade wakes up, starts, remembering little bits like who she is, and she's in this room, and there's sort of like this catatonic man sitting on a chair by her, and she examines a little bit, and then she gets a call and remembers that she's Cascade and that she has to start looking into what's been going on around her. One of the things I disliked the most about Disco Elysium and also Esoteric Ebb was how the various parts of your brain would constantly chip in during conversations. So I can't remember what it was like in Disco Elysium, but in Esoteric Ebb, you would be doing a conversation and your dexterity skill stat would chip in. Your wisdom stat, your intelligence stat, your strength stat, and I found those all very samey and didn't add a lot to the game, and I do remember whatever the equivalents were in Disco Elysium, it got very repetitive for me, and I was very glad to see that is not entirely gone in Zero Parades, but it's definitely far, far lessened, and I wasn't having to skip through my own internal dialogue as much as I did in those other two games. When you start out, you can choose your characters, or choose Cascade's starting stats. You basically you can choose from 3 different presets, or you can do a custom one, and whichever of the 3 presets you choose depends what kind of points you have in the stats of action, that's kind of like strength. Relation is like wisdom, I guess, and intellect, which is intelligence. So for example, the action stats dictate how your body reacts. So some of the parts of the action stat are coordination and instincts. Relation has things like your nerve, your personalism, how well you're able to talk to people, charisma, things like that. And intellect has to do with one of the stats is records, how well you can recall things. Very, very useful stat in this game. I normally go like pretty hard on charisma for these kinds of games. This one I decided to go for, I can't remember what the archetype was, but I was like, yeah, most of my points in action, so I can just punch my way out of things if I need to. So I think my starting stats were like 4 in action, 1 in relation, and 2 in intellect. So I was very good at moving around, but not very good at talking to people. And as you're playing and doing various actions and choosing dialogue options, in the bottom left, you'll see your 3 like, mental, I guess they're not fully mental, but your three stats will start rising. And they're fatigue, anxiety, and delirium. So maybe you make a big jump or something, and when you land, you take like 2 points to your fatigue, so your fatigue will start going up. Or maybe you make a bad dialogue choice, and then you get some anxiety from it, that kind of thing. And strangely enough, when your bar fully fills up in the bottom left, you actually have to take a point out of one of your stats. So like, if your anxiety fully fills up, you can have to take a skill point out of one of the relation stats, like blueprints, cold read, nerve, personalism, or statehood, which is not actually as bad as it sounds, because you're kind of constantly getting experience from doing dialogue options, finishing quests, finishing side quests, and whenever you level up, you get a skill point. So if you did lose a skill point from maxing out your anxiety, you can actually get it right back when you level up if you need to. All the important and skill-based dialogue options have dice rolls related to them. You throw 2 dice, 2 6-sided dice, and depending on how easy or difficult the check is, will dictate what number you need to roll on your dice. So a really easy check will only need like a score of 3. So if you roll like a 2 and a 2, you've got 4, you've passed it, no problem. If you ever roll snake eyes, 2 1s, you automatically fail. If you ever roll 2 6s, then you automatically succeed. You're also able to risk fatigue, anxiety, delirium points by adding a 3rd dice to your roll. And if you do that and still fail, obviously you take a ton of damage to fatigue, anxiety, or delirium, depending on the kind of check you're doing. But when you roll the 3 dice, it just takes your 2 highest ones, so it gives you a better chance of getting the dice roll, and the game always shows you the probability of you succeeding the dice roll with 2 dice, and also the probability of succeeding with 3 dice. I really enjoyed the things like the dice checks and the skill checks and things like that. I did find the dialogue too wordy again, too pseudo-intellectual, I suppose I'll say. Very political and ideologically driven, I guess. It's a little hard to explain, but I definitely found myself like kind of glazing over when reading some of the dialogue, and towards the end of my playtime I was starting to really skim some of the dialogue, because it is just kind of wordy for the sake of being wordy. If you love the writing of Disco Elysium, I'm sure you'll enjoy it in this. I enjoyed some of the characters, but yeah, a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the writing, I was definitely starting to skim over towards the end. One of my biggest issues with Esoteric Ebb was when you finished like the prologue kind of thing, you came out of the sewers into like this massive city, and I just felt instantly overwhelmed, had no idea where to go, what to do. In Zero Parades, the map feels like a good size actually, and it's not too bad to get around. There are sort of the map's split up into these little districts. Like one of them is the bazaar where all the trading goes on. There's this roundabout area with a gazebo in the middle, and each district has like 1 or 2 entrances into it, so you can make your way around the map by going through different ways to get to each part. I found the city itself quite good, but the in-game map atrociously bad. When you press M, you can see where you are on the map. It's marked with a little X, and you can see the vague layout of it. But if you click into the districts, it gives you this like stylized version of the district, which is just not helpful whatsoever. There was a part later in the game where I was trying to find a safe house that I'd been not too long ago. Took me ages to find it. I just could not figure out how to get back to it. And it's not like a huge little city area. But yeah, the map was just so useless, unfortunately. I did find about 2.5, maybe 3 hours in, the game really opens up. There's kind of a key thing that happens at this point, and after that you get so many quests all added at once, and it definitely felt a bit overwhelming. I was at that point I was wandering around trying to do just any of the quests, and then just started finding even more, and I was just looking through my quest log, like, or through my journal, being like, what do I even do right now? I do have to quickly mention the voice acting. The main voice acting is decent. None of it's amazing, but it's okay for the most part. The narrator, though. The narrator is atrocious. I couldn't believe it. She's sort of trying to mimic the Baldur's Gate 3 narration, which is top tier narration, but on specific words, her, like, I can't place the accent, like Cockney, maybe like Scouse, Liverpool. Her accent just comes through, and, you know, like, she doesn't pronounce T's, she pronounces TH's like F's.
Cream paint, peeling slightly. A small room in a city past its prime. Nothing to suggest why the man is so interested in it.
And yeah, her voice acting was just so bad. I couldn't believe it, and I had to just turn it off completely after just 10 minutes. Luckily, there is a setting where you can have like all voice acting, you can have just characters voice acting, or you can have no voice acting. So I just changed the setting to just have character only voice acting, so didn't have to hear the narrator after 10 minutes. Just shocking that they even bothered to have the narrator, because it's just so bad. So at the time of recording, I've played about 5 hours of the game. Definitely more than I was expecting to play. I really was expecting it to be pretty much just like Disco Elysium, like all the screenshots make it look just like Disco Elysium, but I did enjoy it a lot more. I guess it felt a little bit more grounded than Disco Elysium, even though it is, you know, very hoity-toity and pseudo-intellectual, like I said. But yes, I did enjoy it, so again, if you like Disco Elysium, I think you'll probably like Zero Parades. If you didn't like Disco Elysium, you might like it. I'm probably not going to play anymore because, yeah, at the 5-hour point, I had so many open quests, and as I said earlier, I was already starting to skim through the dialogue and the writing, and I'm just not personally invested in the world. Any game with, like, in-game politics, I check out so quickly. I guess that was another thing with Esoteric Ebb, was like the whole point of that was like you had to vote in an election or something, and I was like, I do not care. I do think it's kind of funny that the Steam page description opens up with "from the creators of Disco Elysium," because yeah, I do not know much of the drama about Zaum, so I can't speak on it at all, but after a very brief bit of research, it sounds like there was like a hostile takeover where the original developers of Disco Elysium were like kicked out of the company. So yeah, it's just, you know, I can't go into that at all, but I do think it's quite strange that they open up with "from the creators of Disco Elysium" when there was all the drama about it. Anyway, there you go. That was my quick look at Zero Parades for Dead Spies. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!